Hey, Travis.
No.
I have had a little bit of a dilemma nowadays. I mean, we do the podcast for Stand Against Evil, and it's fun and everything, and we do it, but I just, there's just part of me that feels like there's just not enough Stand Against Evil love, even for our podcast. Where can I go to share this unabided love I have for the Stand? Like, is there any other place that has the Stand fans that I can go to?
You're looking for Stan stands?
I need Stand, Stand stands?
Yeah, never mind. Just continue.
I don't know what a stand is. I know what a stand fan is.
Okay,
and I know
stick with that.
Luckily, I know where to find them,
okay.
Travis. You can find them over on the Stand Against Evil Facebook page, the Stand Against Evil Fan Club, and you can also find them on their Twitter account at Stand Against Evil Fan. And they have a bunch of great stuff like trivia over the weekends and stuff, and a great community over there where you can just share your love for this great show and show your appreciation and all that good stuff. Other than that, let's get on with the show. Guys, it's the first episode of Pod Against Evil for Season 2.
Yay.
It's weird. We have more of a budget, it seems like. There seems to be more co-hosts in the background.
Is that a CGTV?
No, it's not a CG. No, none of that. We're all still practical on this podcast. But who's practical with... Oh, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow co-host here, the God of the Pod.
Travis. I was hoping you forget it this time.
No, I'm never going to forget my good friend.
Really not, man. You doomed yourself with that.
It's all about the branding. It's marketing, my friend.
I suppose this one was technically my fault. I will give you that.
Les, TV dude, Les, tell him. Tell him, Les.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the God of the pod. I don't want to anger him and get smoked.
No, he's like one of those lesser gods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I saw that movie about his children. That's a weak joke that no one's gonna get. It's terrible. I'm Les. Yeah, from the TV dudes, and also the Good Die Young.
I tell you what, Les, I'll laugh and pretend like I get it. How's about that?
Yes.
It's the best you can get.
See, and you...
It's really all I go for. It's what I'm shooting for.
See, I'm actually excited about your new show too. I mispronounce it every week, but it's the bad guy die young, right? No, it's the good die old. Damn it.
Yes.
But no, I'm actually very excited. Your show should be up and running by the time this is up. So it's a great listen. I've already listened to the first episode. You guys should definitely check it out, as well as his fabulous work at the TV Dudes. But we're talking a little more specific today. We are back to talk about Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2 of Stand Against Evil.
Double dipping.
The Black Hat Society.
The Black Hat Society, Part 1 and 2. And, man, these are a twofer episodes that I really appreciate. It is Season 2 of Stand Against Evil. The show is back. The budget's bigger. The people are more plentiful. The sets are, well, if not bigger, they are just shot like they are not so claustrophobic.
And we'll take it. There's so much good to get into. Let's just get right into it, guys. Let's not waste any more time. So, episode 1 of Black Hat Society starts off pretty much where we left off from the last season. Well, literally, because it does like a season-long recap.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we jump right into it like a 400-year-old grave.
So, I don't know if you guys watched the recap, but
yes.
I'm always fascinated in what they include in the recap. Like, especially for a show like Stand Against Evil, where there's only a couple episodes of like mythology and backstory. Like, they include stuff like just Stan sitting in his chair doing one-liners and stuff.
Hey, those are an important part of the show.
I guess they are. They seem to be important.
Yeah. Well, there's a portion of, like, I felt like they were establishing a portion of character, like, hey, in case you didn't watch any of Season 1, not just on plot catch-up, but here's who these
character
people
development.
are. But yeah, they include a little bit of just Stan quipping. I was very happy that they had a recap, even having pretty recently watched this season, or the first season. Because like you said, it's always important what they pick and choose for what goes into a recap, and this kind of helps set up what parts of the mythology are really carried forward. Like, where are we exactly? Like, what parts of like the clusterfuck that was the season finale for everybody. I mean, like everybody goes off the rails. Evie ends up in the ground centuries ago. It's insane. And so yeah, it was nice to have it all put into a coherent,
flow.
Like finishing reading a major comic crossover and then going and reading the Wikipedia and going, oh yeah, I forgot about so and so.
No, I always do find that fascinating on the episode. I think they're an art form in and of themselves.
Go read all the Wikipedias for the X-Men.
No,
catch yourself up on the X-Men just on the Wikipedia, and it's crazy. Like reading all that stuff like a linear story that happened to one human is a fucking crazy.
Dude.
Anyway,
I got lost in a hole one day trying to figure out how Cable's backstory actually makes sense.
I've done that too.
Spoiler alert! It doesn't.
No,
it does not. Spoiler.
It's the living embodiment of a maze on the back of a cereal box. Like, it does not work.
Two whiteboards of just interconnected dots later, and I am no closer to figure out that son of a bitch. I have no idea what they're going to do in Deadpool 2. But anyway, we start off with Evie still trapped in the past 400 years, and she's about to be burned at the stake for being a witch. I do love Evie's back and forth with the Constable Eccles here.
Evelyn Barrett! Unholy viper!
I am not the viper. You are.
Good one,
Great line, Evie. Great comeback. That's a sick
and
burn
like
right
the crowd behind him's like, keep your mouth shut, like
It's
like the crowd behind him's helping.
Watch your mouth, Blondie. Oh, please.
Oh, please. Like she's not really in the mood to deal with this.
No.
Like
she's barely in the mood to deal with people on a normal basis, let alone right now.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, she does end up getting burned. So she actually does die 400 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting with the timeline that happens. I do love the next bit, which is the opening, the crawl, like back in the present day, or a bit more than a week later. Like more like
close to 2 weeks, but
close to 2 weeks, but not quite. Like 11
more
days.
like 11 days. Yeah.
That cracked me up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we just saw this, like, the most important part of season 1 be revealed again, and then it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna stay with this board now and tell you, like, about how long it is. Like, okay, fine.
Well, to talk about Les's podcast for a minute, it reminded me of some of the taglines from Middleman when that would show up.
Yes. Yeah. I always love, like, sarcastic narrators or sarcastic, like, location crawl.
Mm-hmm. No, that illegal sublet isn't going to name itself every time.
Yeah.
So I do like that we get to see Evie again as Stan starts to dream about this coffin that he opens up.
And as soon as I saw that, I called bullshit. I'm like, you didn't dig up that grave last season. Shut the fuck up, Stan.
Yeah, because he starts to get a flashback of him digging up a grave, and I'm like, and me and Travis were both like, we distinctly remember that you did not do any of that digging.
No, you made Kevin.
I thought the same thing. Like, you made
Kevin do all of that. Kevin was the one. But actually, it's actually a hint of what's going to be coming later.
Yes.
So good on you, show. Good on keeping up that continuity. But I do like that. Hey, Stan, I died in 1692. Like, wait a minute, if you died, how the hell are you talking to me right now? I was like,
figure it out.
Boop. I love the
nose.
I love the
nose
boop. I don't know why. Like, it's such an odd thing to like do. Like, I'm not even sure if that's a thing Evie would do.
No, it seems almost out of character.
But it's
very
funny.
dream whimsical and weird, and yeah.
I mean, she's not looking great, but
a little Bride of Frankenstein-y.
yeah. Anyway, Stan's like it seems to be really freaking with Stan. Like, this isn't the first time he's had this dream. So he wakes up, he goes downstairs. We see Denise, and he calls Denise Evie.
Yeah, like immediately.
And
this has happened before, like, because Denise says, you called me Evie again. Who is this Evie person?
And it's interesting because he must be getting flashbacks of the previous timeline or the Groundhog's Day episode or something. Because he's like out of it. He's like, man, almost remember it. He's like got the kind of like seems like a weird version of deja vu or something.
Yeah.
So
John C. McGinley's performance during all this is really impressive. There's a couple of times in this episode where things happen for him, and there's another moment for Evie they're not played for the joke.
no,
They're an incredibly human moment instead, and it happens here in all of the scenes where McGinley keeps almost remembering her, or Stan keeps people ask him who's Evie, and he says he doesn't know. It's a sad, desperate like pain. He wants to know. Like it's the most vulnerable that I think I've seen him in an entire season.
well, these couple episodes are actually very serious. Like, there's not a whole lot of jokes going on a lot of times.
Well, there's
Yeah.
some serious stakes actually going on. And to Les's point, there's like 2 moments specifically that I can think of John C. McGinley's performance, and this is one of them where I think the line is,
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But I don't know anybody named Evie.
and
Yeah.
the way he says it is just like you can feel him really trying to remember. Like, you can tell he feels like it's important that he remembers, but he just can't.
And also, he feels bad for not remembering it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of emotion going on in his voice there, and it's very impressive in a very small line to get across. Like, oh, I totally know what this character's headspace is at, just from
And
this one line.
It lets some of his Stan lines later, which he does get off a couple of Stan lines of like, well, at least we dodged a bullet on the female sheriff later on when he's talking to Drinkwater. It makes those feel like rote and out of place, like falling back on a habit of something comfortable, you know. Like it almost just feels like it spews out of him, like you Pavlovian like cued him to say a call and response. It's weird because he feels vulnerable throughout all the rest of these 2 episodes to me for the most part, and then it kind of helps solidify that for me because after, like we talked about in the season finale from last season, I kind of wrestled with that of like, how much of a dick is this guy? Like, at no point did his witch wife go, you know what, I'm not going out tonight. You're just gonna die.
No,
I mean, because he's a dick. He's a real dick.
he's absolutely an asshole.
And they even mentioned actually in one of these episodes that it's like that they were married for most of his life.
Yeah, like 40 years or something like that. And yeah, I think the other witches ask him, like, how did you just ignore this? You know, how did you never get interested in your wife's life? Anyway, so this kind of helped that feel to me like, oh, okay, that's your coping mechanism. Like, this is just pure defense mechanism. It's paper thin.
Yeah, we get to see Stan a little stripped from his normal armor, I guess, of his sarcasm and stuff, and it actually lets us feel pretty I don't think I've ever felt more sympathetic for Stan than in these 2 episodes.
No.
Yeah.
Although I had, like, as soon as, like, one of these scenes happened, my first question was, wait, so if Evie's not alive in this timeline, so who's sheriff then? Is Stan still the sheriff? And
Yeah.
given that you can hear their laughter, you can probably guess what happens next.
It's a good question. It's a fair question.
Wait, I did want, before we move on to that, I did want to mention Denise one more time, is that she thinks Evie might be Stan's new girlfriend. And so she has this whole, while Stan is staring off into the distance trying to, like, you know, just with John C. McGinley just acting towards the camera, Denise is in the background just doing this whole conversation between herself and this fake person she's developed that is Stan's new girlfriend. And I think
I'm
it's
so glad you brought that up. It's so amazing. It's so off the rails. Perfect, Denise.
it's so great.
Whoever she is, she better not be some scuzzy hag with a dead leg walking in here trying to limp around and be my new mom. Oh, sweetheart, why don't you go down to the packy and give me a pack of smokes? You're not my mother. Don't talk sass to me or I'll kick your ass. At least my ass works. Don't talk to your new mother like that. I don't like your tone with me. I don't like your tone. I don't want a new mom!
I don't want a new mom. It's
Well,
just-
and the weird details that she assigns to this fictitious mom, like, you can't come limping in here with your gimpy leg. Like,
She
why
goes
does she
all out.
limp? Like, why does her fictitious mom that she just made up a minute ago have a limp?
If I could hazard a guess into Denise's mindset, I think she knows that Stan is not exactly the catch, so she thinks that the woman must have some sort of physical deformity.
I bet it goes further. I bet Denise has an entire backstory for this woman.
It's very specific, like to a creepy degree. It's specific.
Yeah, it ends with her screaming, "I don't want a new mom."
Oh, so great. But yeah, Stan actually takes a trip into town and almost hits a girl with his car, which basically reminds him of the Groundhog's Day episode, because this actually turns out to be the same girl, the constable's daughter, that we learned from the previous season.
Who just kind of sits there and stares at the car for a bit, almost like she doesn't know what it is.
But that's not the big reveal of this scene, guys. The big reveal is that, oh my god, there's people in the town.
There are.
There
Right?
are people. There are people in the background
Like
doing
multiple.
things. Like, doing town-like people stuff. And, I don't know, for you guys, if it was as weird for you as it was for me, but just to see that many, people in the background and just like, actually on it, like they actually filmed on a street, I was just like, whoa, this feels like out in the open, and like it's an actual like town with that's lived in and has a society rather than just disconnected Evil Dead cabins out in the woods. Like it's a refreshing change that I really like. That it just makes the show and the environment feel a lot more real to me. I mean, I like that there's obviously different locations. They're like shooting in front of like either some sort of city hall location or some big building. I don't know. I just appreciate that the budget must have been up to where they could shoot on location more rather than just using some of the same sets over and over again.
Well, we usually only had one set per episode last season.
Yeah, they could have gone one of two directions. Either they need either up the budget a little bit and start doing exterior shots, which is what they seem to have done, or just go ahead and have like an odd town meeting scene of like the 17 people who are still willing to live in this demon infested crazy place. Because like I don't necessarily remember ever seeing crowds of people in True Blood like in Bon Temps, but I also had a distinct feeling that no more than like 24 people could possibly still be living in Bon Temps. If you could get the fuck out of that town, you would leave. And so yeah, either like you're the full-on hellmouth where like, there's just like a handful of cantankerous people who won't go, which would work. I mean, we're definitely at a shit hit the fan moment where, unless you were just dead set on staying there, like you're not going to put up with all the crap going on in this town anymore, or start showing me some exterior street shots. And yeah, this episode felt like a bigger world or a more populated town. More functional, real place.
A town that might actually have a sports bar.
Yes, that
or
was
speed
just
dating.
weird last season. That was so weird. Like, where did you people come from? Like, how is there... I mean, speed dating was weird enough. Like, how are y'all not the same 12 people? How is this not speed dating?
Half
in,
you
like,
probably
a 50-person
related,
church?
let's face it.
Yeah.
Well, it's every time they run into somebody that they don't know that they have to meet all over again. It's just like, well, what? How do you not know everyone? Like this.
Yeah, all first season. Like, how do you all not know Stan? I mean, because a lot of people did, but like anytime they ran into anyone who didn't already know, like, no, I'm pretty sure you'd be known in like a Tri-County area. Y'all have some like weird witch shit going on. Your town would be friggin' known, man.
And then we do get to meet the new sheriff because Stan confronts the young woman he almost runs over, and she it gets into altercation with her friend who's like, "Oh, we need to call the sheriff?" Wait, who is the sheriff? He's like, I thought like, and then we turn around and Leon Drinkwater.
Sheriff Drinkwater.
Leon?
Hello, Stanley.
We're in the darkest timeline,
We are
guys.
in the darkest timeline.
Something
Indeed.
shit ain't right. But he does not say anything gross. He's pretty much just gives him the skinny on what's going on.
Leon, you can't be the new sheriff. The new sheriff's a woman. Or did I dream that?
New sheriff is not a woman.
Well, we got that going for us. For a second, I thought we were living in Europe.
So I'm like,
Dodged the bullet there. Yeah.
good old Stan is back. That was our
Yeah.
first good, real first Stan line back. So that was pretty good. Anyway, he leaves, but we get to see a scene of the two new characters, the Constable Eckel's daughter and her friend, including two other characters, in robes call a meeting of what they call the Black Hat Society.
And I really love this opening shot where it shows them like all sitting around like a table with a pentagram on it. It's got this like above shot because my first reaction was just, they're all gonna play Chinese checkers, aren't they?
Just that was not my first reaction, but
It starts out, pretty serious. I mean, like, at least as serious as the kind of, like, occult secret society Joshua Jackson would have joined in, like, a college. I mean, it doesn't seem like any worse than any other 80s, 90s thing. But then their meeting goes, card table off the rails. Yeah, they might as well just go ahead and break out, well, the snacks.
Yeah, the snacks.
Hi.
It was on the email. Guys. But
I really hope these people aren't supposed to be protecting this town.
does anyone know why it's called the Black Hat Society? They don't have hats. I mean, they were wearing black. I mean, I guess it could be the white hat and black hat of like a Western, but that would mean that they were the bad guys. Considering black hats.
But it's an ancient society, right? So, maybe they're not wearing black hats now, but maybe they had black hats then.
I don't know. It's no Court of Owls. I don't know.
The Court of Owls do at least still manage to wear masks.
But yeah, they mention about meeting the prophesized one, which apparently that is Stan. And I'm not sure what the prophecy is, but he's definitely supposed to be, the main player of it. And we get another dream sequence with Stan, where we see him digging again, and some other flashes, and we see an even deader Evie. Like she's
getting worse.
She's just getting worse and worse. So Janet Varney had to put up some dead ghoul makeup, which is actually pretty cool.
She gets less and less humorous and cutesy with it. Like there's no like, oh hey, figure it out, boop. It's like, hey, figure it out.
No boop this time. You didn't earn it. You gotta go up and dig up my grave. goddammit.
It's somewhere during all this we have Stan doing like crossword puzzles.
I love the crossword puzzle.
And,
like
everything he's doing is all like Evie in the cemetery. Evie is in the cemetery, but all spelled out across the different lines.
Yeah, I did love he keeps filling in Evie's in the cemetery, but then did you notice like when he puts away the crossword puzzle, he like puts it through this slot in the coffee table?
What was that?
Homemade, yes. He has a homemade cut slot to discard newspapers into that's full of newspapers underneath.
Yeah, wait, what is that?
Nick, are you trying to say that your table here does not have a newspaper garbage can slot?
No, it has another. It has a secret trap door in it. But like, what's going on with this thing? Like, is this a common thing that I just don't know about?
No, he's not recycling. I mean, like, Stan did not cut that in there to save newspapers for any kind of recycling. It's like, what is the plan here? And who empties the coffee table? It's Denise. I know it's Denise.
Yeah, it almost have to be. Speaking of Denise, what is she doing outside? Why, she's crashing the car into a tree. I love her explanation, too. It's like, what happened?
Don't be mad.
What did you do?
I was thinking about chocolate milk.
I beg your pardon?
I was thinking I wanted chocolate milk, and then I got distracted, and then there was a tree.
Don't be mad. Do not be mad. Yeah.
And I'm just like, all of your actions it just reminded again that Denise is written like she's like 14 to 15 years old. Like all of her excuses and the way she just acts is just like you are a teenage character in an adult person's body.
Yeah. Oh, so
yes.
Here's some interesting information. Apparently the Black Hat Society is a real thing.
Is it?
I mean, I'm looking at their Facebook page. They have a Facebook page, therefore they must be a real thing.
They have a Facebook page. Okay. So maybe they were drawing inspiration from a real life thing. Are they actually Wiccans?
Yeah, well, according to them.
I mean, do they consider themselves Wiccans? I guess should be.
That's actually how they phrase that in the show as well. I think, like, they're witches. Oh, they say.
Yeah, they say. But yeah, the car crash does remind Stan of Evie because of the crash from the Groundhog's Day episode. Evie shows up to him and is not looking so hot. She's looking a little like
the Ghost of Christmas something.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like Janet Varney, like she might actually be suffering heat stroke from all the makeup stuff that she's been going through this episode because she's not looking great. She's
Possibly.
like, oh boy. And then, but Stan does remember her name, Evie, that's your name. Your name is Evie. And he's very excited. Like, he's very happy that he finally remembered the name. Like, he doesn't know why, but he's like, oh my god, I remember the name, yes! So he basically goes to check, is like, I think I know what I need to do, so he goes check the cemetery.
And Kevin comes back.
Kevin is back! Played,
Yeah.
again, by Dana Gould, the writer of the show.
That's the Black Hat Society.
The what?
They're witches, so they say.
What are they doing by my wife's grave?
I don't know. This place is full of ding-dongs doing all kinds of baloney. It's funny. I spent 4 years living in a monastery.
Good talk, Kev.
Yeah, I'm not interesting. Somebody said that to me, I wouldn't want to hear the rest.
So that's pretty fun. But before he can ask about Evie and her grave, he sees the Black Hat Society by Claire's grave, his wife's grave, and he's like, "Hey, what the hell are you guys doing?" What does he call them?
I think he says something like crashing the graveyard, pretending to be Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac, yes. And I'm like,
well, once again, when Stan confronts them, like Judith, I think is my least and most favorite person in the Black Hat Society, but Judith, who raised her hand in the earlier meeting and asked about snacks and chastised everybody about carbon copying instead of blind carbon copying on emails, when Stan interrupts them, she looks over and I think says, like, is this just a break, or are we taking
Are we done
breaks
chanting?
now?
breaks?
Are we done chanting? Is this? Yeah, like everybody knows that one person, like, who's just weirdly persnickety with all the rules in the group and in the meeting of, like, oh my god, I want to kill you.
Just shut up.
Like, it doesn't matter. Jesus Christ, Judith. Yeah.
Why do you gotta ruin everything?
So she cracks me up, and, like, yeah, she raises her hand when she wants to. It's just I don't know where that. I don't think I've seen that actress in anything else, but yeah.
Yeah, the actress is Susan Burke, but she's very good in this. I've seen her in one other thing, but I can't remember what it was now, because I remember seeing her face specifically.
Yeah, she walks a perfect quirky line on this character for me.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the town yelling crazy guy last season. Just a perfect casting.
Yeah, I do like her. I like Cliff is the dude of the group, the token
Yes.
guy. Like that there's one dude in the group.
Yes, because Cliff's reaction earlier after Judith chastises him of when they're like, "But we saw the prophesy." I don't care anymore.
I don't even care. Whatever.
Yeah. Cliff's just like, you know what? You hurt my feelings. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Laura, who's played by Denise can't remember, Bout or Butte. She's an interesting last name, but she is pretty much the of the Black Hat Societies, other than Constable Eccles' daughter. She probably has the most lines.
Yeah,
like she seems to be like the leader, I think, of the crew. If I had to hazard a guess. Yeah, so these guys are hanging out by Claire's grave. Stan comes up to insult them and asks them what he's doing. Pretty typical Stan stuff. And they confront him with knowledge about Claire's actions. And apparently Claire was part of the Black Hat Society.
So they say.
We can only take their word on it. But it seems to make sense. This seems to be a different timeline where things might have taken place in a different setting. And they mention Claire's room of weapons and knowledge and stuff, like, oh,
her knitting room.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, fine. I believe you. You two come with me. Statler and Waldorf, go get ice cream. I do love his random insults for people. I'm like, Statler and Waldorf, like, that doesn't even track logically, Stan. Like, what makes them Statler and Waldorf at all?
And the offer of ice cream is, of course, an insult to Judith, because she's lactose intolerant, and Cliff knows that.
Oh, Judith is just the worst.
Cliff's immediately excited, like, I like ice cream. Like, Cliff's like, I know that was, meant as an insult, but I want ice cream. I'm gonna go get ice cream. And Judith's just immediate, like, I'm lactose intolerant and you do this.
I think at this point I actually just like looked her straight in the face in the show and just like, you're just plain old intolerant.
You're just plain old intolerant. I mean, I've known lactose intolerant people that don't let that fact stop them from eating ice cream because it's delicious.
Which is not the point of what just happened at all, Judith.
I'm really in the mindset of I really feel Cliff's pain in this episode. I really feel I'm one with Cliff in this moment. I'm just like, you know what? I feel you, Cliff. Respect.
I would
buddy.
love to know, like, what are the motivations that like get Cliff out of the house to make this his hobby? Like, how did Cliff end up in the Black Hat Society?
It was probably a forum.
He definitely seems like the odd man out here. But they go up to Stan's wife's Claire's room, her knitting room, of course, the weapons and ancient her Buffy room, basically. And they go like, okay, so you opened this door and you found all this stuff, and then what'd you do? I just kind of left.
Just walked
What do you
away.
mean? What do you mean you have this giant mystery and you just left it here? And he's like,
Look it. I was married to the woman for more than half my life, and you think this is the only mystery I ever had to deal with? What about the hair curlers? Huh? Nobody in the house uses them, and yet they're underneath every single bathroom sink. One time I threw a few away. The next morning they were right back down there just staring up at me. What do they breed?
Mr. Miller.
And those brown hairpins? Oh, they're everywhere. I got one in my foot right now.
Mr. Miller.
My wife was not a witch.
what about the hair curlers, guys?
What about them, Stan?
This is such a great rant. This is amazing rant. This is some classic John C. McGinley stuff right here.
No one uses them.
It's like no
they're
one uses
under
the hair curlers, but they're under every sink. I threw a couple of them away one time, and they just came right back. This is the most
What, are they
detective work
greedy?
we've seen him do, or heard
Really?
about him doing in the entire show.
Yeah.
It really is. This is the mystery that piqued his interest. Not the sewing room, the hair curlers.
Yeah, I don't know why, but this rant was just killing me the whole time. Like the longer it went on, just I was getting real shades of like Dr. Cox and like but with the Stan spin on it. I really like a good John C. McGinley rant. It
Yes.
brightens my day.
He's good at them.
He's so good. But in the end of the
Well, then-
rant, he says that what does he scream out? My wife is not a witch, or something. And then Denise hears that, and I love that because it's like, no, she wasn't. And then Stan gets this great look on his face, like, damn it.
Denise just does show up at the best of times.
Yeah, and comes to his defense, but you don't really ever want Denise to your defense necessarily.
No, she's gonna get sidetracked and talk about the new the two women. And
Boy,
like,
does she.
Is this her? Is this the girlfriend you won't tell me about? Well, I gotta tell you, Dad. I'm impressed. I really am. Shocked is more of a word for it. I mean, you and her. Foxy lady. Foxy lady. Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
good on you, Dad. Look at that. And I was like,
I mean, it's shocking a little bit. I'm surprised.
shocking
but
and surprising. Now, at first, I thought, I'm like, okay, is it because Laura's black and she thinks Stan is a little racist, or is it that
I think so.
or is it that Laura is very pretty and young and she doesn't think Stan could pull anything like that down?
I definitely
don't
think
think
that
it has
is
to
part
be
of
one.
it, the whole age difference.
Little column A, little column
yeah.
B. Like,
I don't think it has to just be one of these things. I think it can be all of them at once. He's a little Archie Bunker in general. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why Denise would be going, I'm surprised, Dad. But yeah, her Foxy Lady sing song is so awkward.
Foxy Lady.
And then the bow chicka wow wow that she does is just
Well,
amazing.
like,
Denise is just awesome.
it's like those rare moments if you're at a party and, you know, when you get a compliment, like, for me, I only have a couple. I'm sure if you are a woman listening to this, you have many more examples, but every once in a while I'll get a compliment at a party, like, oh, don't you look like, or some weird awkward comment that's marking on my, I realize you're complimenting me right now, but I feel weird and like dirty about it. So I'm just gonna leave. And that's what I feel like Denise is all the time. She's like, even if she's complimenting you, she's just so awkward about it that you can't help but feel like, I feel like this is wrong somehow.
I just want to leave.
But yeah, Stan hears Evie's voice from the previous episode, from the finale, talking about, did you bring the eyeballs? Did you guys hear that? Like, I love him. It was just like, did you hear a woman ask about something about eyeballs? And they're like, no, we did not hear that.
Okie dokie. Well, then I've either gone just completely batshit crazy, or this is God's way of telling me it's time to start doing some real drinking. I'll talk about real drinking.
I love that he pauses to reinforce that. No, I mean real.
Real drinking. Some real drinking. And he goes down there to start that real drinking, which is pretty impressive. It actually does that. Normally I catch these more with the fake alcohols they use. This does look like some dark whiskey that he's drinking.
Yep. No, that looks like a bottle of Bushmills or something very close to Bushmills.
Yeah.
That he just spins the top off of and begins downing. But it also one of the rare times where like they go ahead and have Stan seem actually drunk in the next scene.
Yeah. I love he does act different while he's drunk, but he's not like super wasted. He's just a little bit buzzed from that initial swig of the whatever he's drinking. A little less
coordinated. Yeah.
I mean, he does say later, "I'm outie McGrouty," which I'm pretty sure sober Stan would not say.
No.
Like,
I need a drink. Oh, there it is. It's magic.
Magic.
Although, even during this, like, hilarious scene of being drunk, they do reveal something interesting, is that, the Black Hat Society reveals that they come from ancestors of people who were witches in the past. And it's like, oh, so there actually were real witches in this town in the past.
If you think about it, if the timeline is changed from Constable Eccles, we're not sure how many, maybe some of those witches actually did survive. Like maybe some of they call themselves Wiccans of that practice, benign magic or whatnot. And maybe, one of the changes, the timelines that happened was that more of them got to survive, Constable Eccles burning out.
Well, it just kind of sounded like he didn't burn actual witches at all. There just happened to be witches there.
Oh, okay.
That he only cared about getting the bodies for people to use their souls.
That's true. They didn't for his purposes, they didn't actually have to be witches.
No.
Okay. I do love, like, wait a minute, if she goes to Laura, if your ancestors were back in the 1600s, wouldn't that mean, and she's like, yeah? And I love her, like, what?
She doesn't even let him finish.
Like, what? Oh. And obviously he's making a reference to they would have been slaves at that time, and I love his look of indignation of just like, well, I didn't do it. Like, and I'm like, why did you even bring it up? Why would you walk in
that landmine?
Like, yeah, like, what were you gonna say? Like, I don't understand what information you were fishing for here, Stan. But yeah, I do love, he knows what to do now. Like, oh, I know what to do. I'm outie McGrouty, and he, walks off. Of course, Denise is proud, like, he ain't going anywhere. I got the keys. All right, I'll take those. Because we've seen her,
and Denise goes on like a Rain Man rant of like, and I'm a very good driver.
I'm a good driver.
Like, apropos of nothing, nobody's brought up the wreck or anything, but yeah, I drive very well. Dad lets me drive in the driveway.
6'1". You almost expect her to count a number of toothpicks or something.
Right.
And then of course Laura just takes the keys, like, I'll take those. We of course have not seen you drive, but the audience has, so we know your driving skills are not up to par.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna take those real quick. So they go to the.
Well, actually, we missed a really fun drunk scene too, though. Is that when Stan's drunk, he like looks at a deer and goes like, when did deer get on the wall? And Denise goes like, Gunther has always been there.
That's like, Gunther.
Denise, come here. There's a deer.
There's a deer there. Like, I have been that wasted. So,
yes, you have.
Yeah, I have been that wasted where I have talked in inanimate objects. So that's always great.
They also call him the prophet, and he goes on this weird ass rant about being Jesus and the abs on that guy.
You ever see you ever see the washboard abs on that guy?
And I was like,
he always had this thing about the meek, though. I don't think I could do that.
God knows I hate the meek.
God knows.
That is a weird Michael Phelps Jesus abs rant that he goes off on.
Stan is not afraid to tell you what he thinks about absolutely everything.
No, he'd be glad to, actually.
So they end up, drunk as he is, they end up going to the gravesite again. We meet back up with Kevin. Kevin tells him, like, well, there's no Barrett or grave, but there is one unmarked, and like, that's the one. And I know Stan is drunk at this point because he actually starts digging the grave himself.
Yeah.
Well, but before this, in the scene transition, because they open up her book in the sewing room.
Oh,
they open up the mom's big book, and it's got the page about digging up Evie's grave, and like there's Evie tied to the stake, 400 years ago in silhouette, we're led to assume. And then just before the transition, the page like flips back, like settles back over to the previous page, which is some kind of like skeleton bird rook-headed demon thing with like a torso and no legs like this scary drawing.
Like a scarecrow.
Yeah, like crossed with Jack Skellington's, crossed with Chernobog from the Disney movies. Like, I don't know, pick your pop culture reference of demon batwing things. But yeah, it actually is a pretty cool looking monster when we finally do get to see it. I actually like its design a lot.
Wraith. Yeah, I think is what it actually gets called.
Oh, the Wraith. Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, as soon as Stan like drunkenly goes, "That's the grave," and wanders off, I mean, literally like blind staggers towards it with a shovel. I was like, man, that's the wrong grave. You're about to dig up whatever that thing was, because it's coming out of a grave, I think, in the drawing, in the scene transition. I just remember thinking like, oh, that's definitely Chekhov's demon.
Chekhov's
that
demon.
Thing's gonna fire. And sure enough, it does fire like a gunshot straight out of the coffin that he hits when he digs his grave up.
Well, I love because he knocks on it and something knocks back, and you kind of go, "Oh no, that's not great." Like you don't want something to knock back when you knock on a coffin.
No.
Like that you almost expect like a vampire to go like, "What? I'm sleeping. Get out of here."
That would be where the origin of the graveyard shift comes from.
No soliciting. Like.
This is also when we get to realize that, oh, hey, the visions he had were actually of the future and not of a previous timeline's past.
Yeah, it seems like something is trying to tell him what to do, which is interesting, because at first I thought they were just flashbacks that he was just remembering, but now I'm thinking that there's some sort of spirit world thing that's trying to tell him, give him visions of what to do. Like, with visions of Evie and all that sort of thing. And maybe it's just for this episode, I'm not sure, but I like to think that they're building up some sort of mythos of like, there's some sort of force of good that's trying to balance out the bad stuff that's going on in Willard's
Some kind
Mill.
of watcher?
Yeah, something like that. Like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it was kind of like the forces that be. Mm-hmm. The vague kind of forces that want to keep shit in balance, but like won't give you any information to do.
Who won't actually help you?
Yeah, they don't really help all that much.
The powers that be that made that decided like Christina Carpenter needed to be like a holy prophet.
Dude, do not get me started on season 3 of Angel. Okay, do not get me started. Or was it season 4? I don't remember. But
I don't know. I mean, these are the same people that picked Doyle.
It's Doyle. Yeah, I imagine that's all kind of the same. Like all these supernatural sci-fi shows, the forces, the powers that be are the same ones.
Yeah,
they're all the same vague, non-helpful entities that will only give you riddles instead of actually helping you.
To be fair, if they actually helped, it wouldn't be much of a show.
This is why I want Wolfram and Hart to just wade into all other supernatural shows. Like I would love to see Sam and Dean like sued.
That'd be funny.
By any level, I mean, there's got to be so many civil lawsuits by like any class of monsters against the Winchesters, and similarly, like I'm sure Stan, like that would be hysterical to me.
Mr. Winchester, the Winchesters, we would like to. This is a formal restraining order set against you by God Himself. He's very sick of you bothering him. So this is like
Chuck
a legal.
Loves us.
I'm sorry. You will no longer be allowed within 1,000 feet of any dimension that God is currently inhabiting.
At the same time, Crowley would have a field day.
Oh man. Well, I mean, he can't be in hell right now, so we're off topic. We're so off topic. But yeah, Crowley can't be in hell right now, but he's got to be at Wolfram and Hart, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's what 14, 13 seasons now or something. They'll do it eventually.
Crossover.
So yeah, this is basically the end of the episode where the Wraith jumps out.
I really love how like Stan is digging this grave, and everyone else is just kind of standing there watching, including Kevin. And just
it's a nice change of pace.
Well, it's just like, how many people does it take to defile a grave?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Stan's already, Kevin, when Kevin's telling him about the graves down there, and then he does have an unmarked one, Kevin says, yeah, and when I was living at a monastery for 4 years, and Stan just walks off.
Well, of course he does.
I love Kevin's reaction of, yeah, because if someone started a sentence like that, I wouldn't want to hear the rest of that.
Nope, I wouldn't be interested at all. Poor Kevin.
What a dick. What a just random dick. I love it. I mean, on the one hand, no, he doesn't really have time, but on the other hand, it's just such a drunk asshole move.
It's not even a drunk asshole move. It's just the regular amount of asshole.
Well, we all know that even if Stan did have time, he would do this, pull the same exact move. Like he
would just pull it like with less swaying to his walk.
And he probably add an insult to it.
Yeah, so anyway, the Wraith explodes out of the coffin, which is pretty cool. We get a quick CG shot of the Wraith, which I'm not crazy about.
No.
But it's very fast in this episode. So, and then we go right back to the practical one, which is
most of the Wraith is the practical one on a zip line being just thrown across scenes.
Which is awesome.
Which is pretty funny to watch.
Well, I love how the Wraith actually looks. It's very cool looking. Of course, they shoot it pretty straight on its face when it's flying around. So I like that. I love that really close up look of hiding the seams, Evil Dead feel the monsters give me. Mm-hmm. I really like that. Anyway, I think what was it the constable's daughter says, "This is a trap set by my father." Oh no! Cut to black. And did you guys notice? At the end of this episode, in the credits, there's a lot of just fucking noise and screaming.
There's one really good line right before that happens that Kevin tackles Denise to get her away from the Wraith, and she's like, "It's gonna kill us." Yes,
it's gonna kill us.
Yeah, because during the credits, I think Denise goes ahead and yells, "It's going to kill us all."
Yeah.
Again. But the screaming and everything, I said, because I watched them on Amazon, and I said, and with the credits running all the way through, and that screaming just goes awkwardly with no music break or anything. The fight and the all of it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's very strange. I have not checked if it actually links up and actually syncs up with the next episode, if it's actually audio from the next episode.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Or really, it at least didn't seem to be. I watched them back to back on Amazon, and it didn't pick up as being the exact same audio, because at the start of the next episode, that fight actually doesn't go terribly awry.
No, actually, it works out pretty
really
well.
Fast. So I think they were I think they were milking out that joke because they knew it was going to end immediately when you watch the next episode.
But yeah, that's the next episode does kick up after that, the Black Hat Society Part 2, and. I love Stan is very proactive in this because the Wraith gets a couple swoops in, swooping around at everybody, and until it runs into the Wraith, it's supposed to be invincible. Oh no, nothing can hurt it. And then Stan nails that shit with a shovel.
Honestly, kind of surprised it didn't just explode from that.
There must
he squares his feet up and really catches it. It's great.
He just nails this thing with a shovel. Great shovel hit. And I do love his line afterwards,
"This is a Wraith. The ancients declared them invincible."
No, the ancients didn't have the same shovel technology we have available to us today.
It's a fucking shovel. How do we have shovel technology?
Yeah, no, the advanced shovel technology available to us. It's amazing. He just stands there and beats the shit out of it with a shovel.
Great line,
I love its giant glowing eyes, like what they're going to end up having to take from it. The Wraith really did look cool, but I also love that he's Stan with a shovel. He's going to beat the hell out of that thing, and it works. Which he did that at the last season as well. I think at the start of season 1, doesn't he beam somebody with a shovel to save Evie from a post?
It was a pipe. He said a pipe to the back of the head.
Yeah. Yes, works every time. Not that I've done that before. That would be illegal.
Yeah, he's definitely killed a suspect or two.
Oh yeah, or at least assaulted them.
There's some unsolved police mysteries there in Willard's Mill, but they need the eyeballs from the Wraith because of course they do.
Because of course they do.
Very eyeball centric these last the finale in these 2 episodes.
Yes,
and of course Stan.
I was thinking that
at this point Stan is a bit sobered up. So he doesn't want to do the work himself, so he tries getting the girls to do it for him.
I do like, hey, here's a chance for equal work and all that. You girls want to do a man's job or something?
Yeah, like a chauvinist goading to try to get them to take the head off of this thing.
Yeah. And I do love Laura's face, so she just gives this non-verbal kind of I'm good, she's just, where she just her hands and her face is yeah, you can do the eyeball thing, I'm cool. So they grab the eyeballs, they actually head to the cabin.
Well, Stan has another great line when he's trying to pull the eyeballs out. It says it smells like an armpit's asshole.
Oh, I thought that was, I thought the cabin was what smelled like
you're
an
right,
armpit's
that's
asshole.
from that.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Skipping ahead, I guess.
Something smells like an armpit's asshole. That's
that's the whole gist here.
Yeah, that's the cabin, and man, that's a funny line too. Of just what kind of insult is that? Just an armpit's asshole. I love how Stan's brain works. I love it. And he starts talking about the legend of, like, going back in time to save Evie. He doesn't really believe in myths and legend, like the one that David Bowie and Mick Jagger hooked up or something. Like, another long fucking rant about nothing that they were even talking about. He goes on how Mick Jagger was married to this hot piece. Like, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. David Bowie's married to a giant, tall black chick,
Yeah.
and Mick Jagger looked like a baby bird. Are you kidding me?
He treated like a
I don't
baby.
buy it.
The baby bird line really confused me. I was like, wait, what?
It's weird.
What is that?
Well, I mean, if you've ever seen Jagger perform live, he does a hand on his hip chicken walk thing.
Okay.
That is hysterical, but unintentionally so. But yeah, it's very chicken leg. It's weird.
Someone needs to break the news to Stan about David Bowie and his sexual proclivities.
I don't think it would matter.
That's what I'm sitting through the whole thing going, yeah, that would break Stan's. I don't think he'd ever buy it.
No.
I don't think you could never convince him.
He'd call you a nerd and walk away.
I do like that he asked, like, what happens if this thing doesn't work? And then you'll like, I guess you'll be standing on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to risk it.
Why do we have time-traveling eyeballs, anyway?
I don't know. Like, well, I do love that he gets out of there. Okay, I'm going. Later, Tater. His outlines in this episode are great. Or in these two episodes. They're super awesome. So we get a scene of the opening from the previous episode with Evie giving the exact same speech. Stan gets to grab her this time as Constable Eccles turns around, and apparently no one in the mob notices their sacrifice just skittering away.
No, it was really easy to get her.
It was surprisingly easy. Like, what kind of rampant mob are you that you're not focused on the thing of your anger and despair? Like, not a very focused mob. I'm gonna say it right now. I've seen, and I didn't see enough pitchforks there too. If I'm critiquing mob wise.
Well, to be fair, I mean, this guy has killed how many witches at this point? They're probably just used to him doing all the work.
Their torch game is not bad. I'll give them their torch game. Like that, there's some good torch work going on there. So Stan does grab Evie, which causes Eccles to summon the Wraith out of nowhere.
Again, going back to the whole stupidity of the mob thing, is like, you saw him just do magic, right? Like, you saw that happen?
Well,
and his conflicting, I mean, this is just typical church, his conflicting orders to the congregation there of like, behold the majesty of such and such, and then immediately the next thing he says is,
don't look
cast
upon it.
not your eyes upon it. Yeah. But I think he calls it God's steed, like, behold God's righteous steed, and then immediately don't look upon it, it'll, lest your eyes be plucked from your skull or something like that. We're like, but which is it?
What do you want me to do?
Do we gaze upon it or look away? I don't understand.
Well, then he's looking directly
Seems
at
like
it.
a lot at stake, though.
He's looking directly at it. I'm like, oh, this is when the thing steals his eyes or something, and
That'd
that's why
be amazing.
and that's why he needs his eyes back. But we see him later in another scene where his eyes are perfectly fine. So I was kind of like, oh, wait, I was confused. I just thought that was going to be a mythos thing, but
No, I think the eyes just let you travel through time.
No, because the eyes they stole then wouldn't have been his. They would have been a Wraith's.
Look, I'm not going to get into a time travel argument with you guys. Like, this is...
No, I just mean that makes a lot more sense, that he didn't need he didn't need his eyeballs, he needed the Wraith's eyeballs, which were already in there, because he put them in there.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Fucking time travel.
We'll go with that.
And anyway, we see the Wraith chasing after Stan and Evie. Now, if there's one gripe I have to have about these two episodes is that, this is the point where they use a little too much CG Wraith. This CG Wraith is not looking great, guys. But it's cut, especially when it's cut back and forth with the practical Wraith that they're using, which looks really cool and really good. And then the CG thing comes around, and there's like this After Effects image bats that are following it.
Yeah.
And it's...
Is that what those were?
I don't know. There's the black cloud around it to kind of try and... At first I would think to hide the seams of the CG or whatever, like this little black mist. But,
I was almost just wondering if maybe the practical one was falling apart or something.
well, obviously...
That was actually my first thought, too, was like, something's coming apart in tatters.
Well, like, when it's chasing them, I was just questioning, like, why aren't they using the close-up shots again of, just them looking behind them, and then suddenly we see a close-up of the Wraith, like, and then we don't see how close it is or whatnot. We just have to, assume that, oh, no, it's gaining on them. Mm-hmm. And then we see when they get knocked out by it later, and Evie finally realizes it's Stan. Stan is like, "Don't move," and we see the wraith come up behind her, creeping up, and that's a cool shot.
Yeah,
where it's creeping up behind her because it's the actual practical effect. And it must be that they couldn't use it again for these scenes, and they had to, I mean, at least I hope that's the reason. But otherwise, I think that they may be like, oh, how much CG can we get away with now that we have a budget now? And,
yeah, because Stan pulls his gun and fires at it, and basically it runs away like a witch from an old Warner Brothers cartoon with the hairpins flying out behind it. Like, yeah, it's just weird CG all the way down the tunnel of the woods.
Yeah, so I'm not crazy about it. I'm really hoping that this is a outlier of the season, and that this isn't a standard for the seasons going forward, is using CG, because this is
because they used it off and on in season 1. But I'm with you. I'm really hoping that they lean more towards the great practical effect design like they had for most of the Wraith monster, and lean away from the CG design they had for the other part of the Wraith monster.
Yeah. I mean, and then the digital effects they used for season 1 were always like, there was, especially in the Groundhog Day episode when people were getting their heads chopped off and stuff, there was really quick, digital stuff going on. It was really fast. And there's a couple moments with the Wraith swoops down at people where it's really fast and you don't get to see it for, like, the only problem I have with it is just these straight on shots of it for extended periods where I'm like, I didn't need to see it this straight on, especially when it had to have cost a bunch of money to render all that stuff. But Stan does have one bullet left just in case. He's like, oh, well, just in case we get captured and we don't want to get taken alive.
Still have one bullet left.
Yeah, we may need that one for ourselves, in case they catch us and we can't make it out of here.
Then we need 2 bullets.
Right. Technically, we could stand next to each other, maybe mush our heads together so that we're really...
They should have brought those little black pills.
Yeah, you should have brought the black pills.
Yeah.
Black capsules.
Underprepared, Stan. So they meet up back at the cabin, and we get a face-off with Eccles before they go back to their own time. I do love he's like, aha, I got one in the chamber, and he's got your name on it. And then Stan's like, yep, that's totally the reason we saved it. Totally the reason.
Yes.
And I do love that, of course, Evie can't just shoot him. She's got to give the whole speech first, like, you son of a bitch. I mean, Eccles didn't seem very concerned about it. I doubt it would have worked if she had shot him. Like, he probably had some magic backing him up or something. Yeah. But she doesn't even get the chance because the Wraith comes back, and Stan has to save her from that by pulling her back into the own time. I do love that Evie's like, I almost had him, like, a fraction of a second more, and I actually am on Stan's side, like, are you fucking nuts? I just saved you from the goddamn Wraith. I just traveled back in time.
I actually had to rewind that. I rewound to see his save just because of their immediate argument about it, but I really like the staging of how she's aimed at Eccles, and that she's focused on him, and the Wraith really, comes at her from her flank and would have just blindsided her. And Stan's, literally just straight up saves her. And then they have that great argument, which leads to the other humanizing moment, or really human moment in the episode for me, Evie's reaction during her and Stan's thing here.
Like, during Stan's argument, she keeps kind of going like, Stan, and she's like almost crying. And like Stan almost starts to cry too. And I'm like, Stan can't cry. If Stan cries, I'm going to cry.
Like, she interrupts his rant just long enough for him to see that, hey, my mask's about to drop and I'm about to crack. Could you stop? But she doesn't have to say it. Felt like the culmination of a season of, you two are just nearly alike, right? Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, you were the same tough, gruff, walk it off, attitude, and you should really, really get along. And yeah, that shared, rapport right then was just amazing. I thought it was a wonderful little bit of writing. And I'm not sure, I don't know if that was in the script like that, or if that just happened between Varney and McGinley, but it's a really wonderful moment where she kind of nearly cries, and then Stan drops his guard for a second too, and then unspoken, they just move on. Like, we have shit to do.
Well, it does remind me of, like, you know, I always know that John C. McGinley is very good. He's had chances to really show us this stuff, but it also reminds me that, you know, Janet Varney, especially with her work of, you know, on You're the Worst, you forget, like, oh, she's actually really good at this, and she gets the chance to really show her chops in the scene playing off John C. McGinley, and just them. You're right. I love that they just have to look at each other, and everything is just nothing is said between them. It's kind of like we're too tough. We're both too tough to say anything, but we both know what's up. Like between each other.
They both know their own limits and each other's.
Don't make.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really cool. I really like it. It's a very powerful scene, and I do love that we get to see in the next scene we get to see Evie just happy to be back. Even smiling at Drinkwater,
which proves we are out of the darkest timeline. Woo!
Yes, Deputy Drinkwater, back to being deputy and back to being awful because he's handling a noise complaint by just. I love that he's handling this noise complaint like a woman is complaining about a neighbor's music being too loud, and instead of doing anything about it, he's treating it like it's some sort of radio show where he's trying to guess what song is actually playing.
He just keeps educating her about Electric Light Orchestra.
No, ma'am, I hear it. That's Turn to Stone. He seems to be playing the entire Out of the Blue album. This was a transitional period for ELO as punk began to work its way into the UK charts.
He seems to be attempting to play the entire Out of the Blue album, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's
and they keep
Jeff
going
Lynne's
back
attempt to meld pop songs with classical structure. Yeah, they come back to it several times, which ironically ELO has an album called Time, and that's not what they play.
What appropriate. I guess they were worried about it being too on the nose.
Right.
But unfortunately, Evie turns invisible at a certain point where Drinkwater cannot see her. And I don't know, your first instinct is like, uh-oh, she must be displaced in time or something, because that's my normal time travel logic working. I'm like, I don't know why she just displaced in time, but I know that's what's happening right now, because that's what happens in time travel stories. So yeah, she goes in the bathroom, she's trying to figure out what's going on. Drinkwater does seem to notice her again. In the meantime, Eccles shows up to Stan, and I do love like, I'm showing up in your mind, dumbass. You can't just throw a knife at me. Although I do love that he does throw a knife, and that Denise walks in and is just like, okay, and just runs off.
Yep. She's just, nope, not even gonna deal with that one.
Dad's in one of his knife throwing moods again.
That's worrisome.
But yeah, Eccles makes him a deal, because Evie is displaced out of time because Constance, his daughter, is in the same timeline as her, and that was the whole point of switching them in the last season, is for her to be in the current timeline so that she could escape. And, you know, I think it was something about his weakness or something not being around. I'm not sure exactly what his motivations were for it. I know Constance doesn't want to be around him, that's for sure.
Right.
So he makes the deal like, okay, you both can't be in the same time. That's just not allowed. So you, if you kill Evie for me, and I'll make sure that you can go back in time and save your wife. Like, you've already gone back in time. What if you just go back in time like a year and, you know, save Claire? So that's a pretty big deal for Stan. And I do love that he's trying to figure it out. And he's like, so if 400 years is 2 eyeballs, then like maybe 1/400th of an eye will put me back 2 years. Like,
trying to figure out.
No. Don't be sloppy with your math, Stan.
Don't be sloppy with Stan. It's just, so Evie does show up, and I do like that we get the classic mislead of like, oh, so you're not going to believe this, Stan, but I'm like, oh, you're displaced in time, and you can't. People are not being able to see you. Yeah, that's the exact thing. Like, don't worry, I already got a plan for it.
Do you want to tell me the plan?
I don't know. Did I tell you the plan?
No.
There you go.
What?
The plan.
Yes.
No.
To what?
The plan.
So tell me.
Well, that's settled.
And, you know, as the audience, you're supposed to think like, aha, he's keeping it secret because he's actually going to make the deal with Eccles to get Claire back. But
or he's just an asshole.
Or he's just Stan.
Yep. I love Stan's I know things from the future attitude that he gets about halfway through all of this crap. After he first shoots the badly CG'd escaping Wraith, when they're back in time, his immediate, when he looks at Evie and goes, no, don't worry, I didn't kill it. I kill it 400 years from now with a shovel.
Yep.
And like I love his starting to accept the like what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of what I love about both he and Evie is like, yeah, once it starts happening, they just roll with it. Like, nope, this is what we're doing. Werewolf on the front, or demon in the front porch that used to look like a goat. Sure.
Yeah.
You know,
I really like the proactive Stan. I'm a fan of proactive Stan, of where he's at in this season. I think out of all the things that I really like of this opening 2 episodes for season 2, Stan is at a place where I can really get behind and really like Stan, which is important for going forward.
It's a big deal that he felt like something was wrong and then did something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I mean, honestly, there were points last season where Stan would have sat for both these episodes in his recliner and complained while going, something seems off.
To be fair, I'm guessing if he would have been having nightmares and visions of the other stuff that was happening, he might have done something.
This is true.
Yeah, so he, goes off. He's a man on a mission. He knows what to do. He confronts the Black Hat Society again. I do like, he's like, okay, so where's your friend? Where's your little friend? Like,
Constance? Oh, she left.
You got liar eye.
What?
You look upward when you lie. Oh, she left. You can't hide your lying eyes. Eagles, 1975.
and I love that every time he keeps saying stuff to her, he keeps quoting other fucking bands from like
Yes.
this.
Okay, I ain't going anywhere. I'll be around. Spinners, 1972. There's one way or another, I'm gonna find you. Blondie, 1979.
I'll get you one way or another, Blondie.
Blondie, 1970, and he keeps naming the year too.
Yep.
I love it. It's because it's like these supposed to be these intimidating, like, aha, I'm gonna get you, but like it's undercut by this like just quoting of songs.
Compulsive need to Wikipedia.
But yeah, so Lara doesn't help him out, which seems to be a mistake for Lara because Constance does not want to go back to her own time. Does she kill Laura?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It didn't seem like it.
But whatever she does, I honestly thought she possessed her or did something creepy to her. Like, it turns her skin transparent.
Yeah.
And I think it's, looking back on it now, talking about it, I think it was just a show of power.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was just I will fuck you up if you get in my way. But at the time, I really thought that she had just done something, like, ghastly to her.
Mm-hmm. I thought that we were going to find her body later or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or that Laura is now some mindless zombie doing Constance's will.
Nope, that's the next black person in the show.
We'll get to the zombies. But I really hope that Laura didn't die because I actually really liked her and her giving Stan shit. And I would actually like some reoccurring characters that aren't just the main characters. So I actually hope we get to see her again before this season is out. Anyway, yeah, Constance goes out to get some minions. So she picks up these guys in these stereotypical jocks in this pickup truck. So what movie did these jocks come out of where they're in their jerseys, they're in a blue pickup truck? It's like it's like they were on their way to the Tucker and Dale versus Evil shoot, and they just ended up here. Like, they're the frat guy. Like, they seem so stereotypical, like they can't even be real human beings. And of course they are like, hey, oh, hey, pretty lady. Like, well, you going to a party? And like, oh, well, you can have a party right here. And they're kind of like, oh, okay, all right. And I do love that she grabs both their heads and pushes them together. Like, wait, what are you doing? Whoa, wait a minute. And we just hear like horrible screams and stuff. And of course the truck starts to shake around as she starts to chant and do magic. And of course we get the bumper sticker of, if this truck is a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Yes.
And
Yes, and that goes on awkwardly long.
yeah, and it's like, that bumper sticker really puts it over the top for me. I'm like, okay, come on. I should have some sympathy for what happens to these guys, but after that bumper sticker, I'm kind of like,
and then they dwell on it a while. Yep, yeah.
But yeah, Stan does end up back, and he kind of goes over the plan with Evie and Denise, but Evie does disappear on him again, so he kind of breaks it down for Denise, with Evie kind of looking on in the hereafter, or the time displacement space that she's in.
Yes, neither alive nor dead, a fate worse than death.
Also, I think she just went to go do her hair.
Yeah. Well, it was like Denise she probably went out go do her hair or something, and Denise's like, she doesn't do her hair.
She never does her hair.
You're just in the background.
Hey, what the fuck? And I do love it because Stan does go like, look, I gotta send one back, and he explains he's got to go kill a little girl.
Yeah,
and it's just like
kind of terrible.
And we get to know he's not taking the deal for Claire, and he's telling Denise I either gotta send this girl back, or I gotta send this girl back, and he doesn't even want to admit that Evie is not gonna make it. So and I do love that Evie does get to look on it she gets it too of what he's saying. But unfortunately, the Constance has found them, and Evie tries to warn him, but she's still in the in-between space. So we see this weird fucking zombie hybrid creature of the two jocks merged as one.
I love this thing.
So, how is this a practical monster? It seems like they would have been more effective just separated, but under Constance's control. But she's merged them together to the point where the black guy's face is just on a part of the other guy's shoulder.
Oh, it's a clusterfuck of a monster. There's no way it can fight. It's just mean to do, and it's a shitty monster.
Yeah, it's what was the purpose here of using them?
You've probably made them worse fighters than if you just got both of those guys independently drunk and let them go.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, they're probably already partially drunk on their way there.
Yeah,
so.
Seriously, if you'd just said, they hurt me, would you go fight them? You'd have probably got a better ass whooping out of it, but...
It doesn't track very logically, but I do love
the practical
makeup. But it makes a great,
makeup. Fucked up looking monster, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, the black kid's face on it is amazing, where he's just like... He's it's like a Cronenberg kind of level. It's like a Brendel fly, sort of
I'm pretty sure he whispered kill
tortured
me
existence.
Yeah.
Stan shoots it, and it seems like the black guy's the only one that feels pain out of the monster duo, because he's getting the real raw end of the deal. Oh no, ow. And this is my favorite part, where me and Travis, we rewound this part as soon as it happened.
Oh, it's so amazing.
Because Evie manages to get out of the time space and drives the car into the monster. And the jock monster just explodes into goo.
Teenagers sure are full of goo.
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's great. We rewound it and watched it again. It's there's some sort of whatever they use to there's some sort of practical effect or design that makes it explode goo from the bottom up or something. And it's just great, because as soon as it hits, it's just explodes everywhere. It's kind of it reminds me of RoboCop. What's his name? That gets hit by those chemicals.
Oh, by the acid and melts. Yeah, I'll buy that for $1. Yeah.
Get off me, man! And he explodes into just
Denise's line immediately from the porch is wow, teenagers sure are full of goo.
Full of goo. She is way too into it. She is way into the deaths of these two used to be living beings.
All of it. The whole experience. Yes. Everything about living in this town is just a trip to Denise.
And so with that hazard averted, Stan says hey, I got one in the chamber. I love that they always save one bullet for whatever reason. Okay, I got one in the chamber for you, and you better come with me. And Evie comes with them, and she does give the one line before they leave of just
Where you been?
was getting my hair done.
Just to be a little petty.
When Stan gets in the car, it's important to note that one of the two jocks' arm is lying on the top, like on the roof of the car. It's just there. It's just laying there, severed at the middle of the forearm. It's awesome.
You wanted more goo in the practical effects.
I did. I was very happy with that scene.
Oh, so good. And we go back to the cabin to banish Constance, and Stan, like, Evie does disappear again. And I love that Stan is like, oh, God damn it, she disappeared again. Look, I need you to go back. My friend is going to die. You understand? My friend is going to die. And he actually, like, he can't bring himself to shoot the little girl, so instead he ditches the gun and just begs.
Yeah.
Like, look,
straight out
take
begged.
the fucking eyeballs. You don't have to go back to your own time, but go back somewhere else and just don't come back.
Yeah, because I think, as she puts it, when he asks, how the hell did you do the monster things? You go, I have some few tricks. But yeah, he goes, look, you said you have a few tricks. And I love that nobody's real. I mean, it didn't occur to me either, but Stan's the first person to ask, wait, are there more times? Can you go to anything but these two?
And it's a real impressive moment, because Stan is really like, I want another scenario. I don't want to send you back either. Just whatever scenario you can think up of.
Just give us a win.
Yeah, and he's just like, I just want my friend back. And he really, like, means it. Like, he wants Evie back. And is it interesting to me that we didn't see Evie just because she's got to be there watching this, right? She'd almost have to be, from what we've seen of every other time she's disappeared. But
yeah,
maybe
she's got to be there seeing it at least.
I mean, maybe they're saving that for another scene, another reveal down the line of just like, Stan, I heard all the speech you made. Maybe they're saving that for later. But it's just interesting we don't get to see her react to that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very cool. So he lets her go on the one condition is that, like, hey, do this one favor for me. And so she goes back to 1919, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
wearing a very flapper hat, very Great Gatsby looking outfit.
Yes.
Do like the outfit. I like it a lot. And she buries this bottle, or this jar, and Stan gets this message in it as he digs it back up in his time. And did anyone else think that he was like he was gonna go message in a bottle and continue the whole song stating thing out of nowhere? Just
yes, actually, it didn't occur to me, but I'm amazed he didn't. And the thing that she carved into the tree to mark it almost looks like a combination of like a wraith and an arrow pointing down. Like it's a weird carving thing on the tree.
I guess just to be very distinctive, so they don't mix it up with just an arrow or something.
Yeah. Though he doesn't have to dig very deep. I remember thinking, like, man, I'm pretty sure like a kindergartner sometime between then and now would have screwed around at the base of a tree and dug that up. But
yeah.
Well, even then, if you bury something that close to roots and let it like grow for a while, there's going to be roots growing around it. Like, you're going to have to dig a little bit. But, so we do get a quick shot of Evie coming back to the police station working. She says hi to drink water. Now, did anyone catch this? Because there's an odd like scene with Drinkwater where he checks the trash can and then walks away laughing to himself.
Yes.
That was super weird.
Yes.
Did anyone else get that? Was that a joke that I missed?
I'm not sure what was going on with that.
So you didn't get it. You didn't get it either, Les.
No, I did notice him do it.
Okay.
But I'm not. I didn't know if maybe I missed a one-off line that he had said earlier.
Well, I went back and watched the second episode again, and I watched it like the Zapruder film, trying to figure out like what the fuck is he laughing about? Because he didn't even say any lines about a trash can or anything. All of his lines pertain to ELO and the fucking Electric Light Orchestra. Like, that was all he talked about this episode. But
I'm baffled. I wonder if that'll pay off at some point weirdly. Also, it appeared that whatever's in the bottle, the name, watch out for,
what was the name
George, it started with a G, I think. But I didn't catch the name. It wasn't one I don't think I'd heard before on the show, but I feel like we just heard the name of the big bad for this season. Like, they set up a new season arc mystery.
Yeah, I actually really liked that, because at first I thought it was just going to be the eyeballs again, and then he was going to like, oh, just bury the eyeballs so that I can use them to go back in time and save my wife.
Which makes sense.
Or, to get out of a, Deus Ex Machina or a way out of a situation again.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they wrap that one up, and they just watch out for this for like some sort of like mystery lead, which is good. I like that. I like, oh, this is something we can chew on for this season and kind of like further this narrative and this mystery.
I also love having it just out there that they have Constance hidden away at a point in time that Eccles doesn't know about. So like, she's just still out there. They don't have to use her every episode. They don't have to, but she could appear in the season finale of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And be the wild card that isn't in anybody in the Constable's plan.
Yeah, kind of like
I like just having her kind of out there. Thought that was a cool new piece to have in play.
No, that's always good. It reminds me of like the CW having Supergirl on Earth 3 and just like, oh, here's an interdimensional button that you can press in case we need to do a crossover. Like, we have Constance in like only one, time travel phone call away of just like, hey, we need some help this episode. Do I should come and help fight your dad?
It looks like Laura turns up one more time this season, but it's on an episode titled Mirror Mirror. So I'm wondering if that's a parallel universe thing and our Laura is dead. Ooh. Also, her last name is spelled slightly differently in the Mirror Mirror episode.
Okay, cool. That's
So Laura's coming back, that actress is coming back, and yay. But I don't know if it's actually the same character.
All right, well, that pretty much wraps up the episode for today, or the episodes, I should say. It's a super long one. Sorry about that, but we wanted to get through the two-parter here. But before we get out of here, we have a very important award to give. We cannot get out of the first 2 episodes without giving a Most Vile Person award.
Yes.
So this is a momentous occasion because I would like to nominate the first time the trophy will be shared amongst 2 characters.
Oh, really?
Yes. The Jocks. I would think the Jocks get the Most Vile Persons award this episode because Drinkwater, all he really does talk about is ELO the whole time.
I disagree.
Yes?
Because there is one. This isn't a direct violation of Drinkwater, but there is a moment where when Evie disappears at the sheriff's station, that he can't find her, and then she comes out and it's like, "Oh, you were in the bathroom. You didn't see me? How would I see you in the bathroom?" And my first reaction is, yeah, Drinkwater, because you've never checked in. Because you've never checked in a women's bathroom before.
But that's not him being creepy. That's him saying he didn't do stuff.
That's just me thinking he probably did it.
I think that's you putting it on Drinkwater. That's not evidence.
To be fair,
that's circumstantial at best.
To be fair,
nope, circumstantial evidence. The court does not recognize it.
I am the god of the pod. You have announced it. I decree it.
Les, do you want to weigh in on this?
I don't think I definitely think Drinkwater's done enough that you can assume he's doing something creepy off camera in any given episode. But this one around, I don't know that anybody was quite the worst.
As
far as the 2 frat guys, they were terrible, but what happened to them is so awful that it almost like, wow, you guys were dicks, but that's fucked up. I mean, then they attacked and then they got hit by a car, but I feel like that's past their realm of culpability at that point. Like, what do you do but go on a rampage? But yeah, I almost feel like Constance behaved the absolute worst. Like, I get that you don't want to go deal with your dad back in the past, but really, it should have took Stan getting on his knees and begging after you melded 2 dudes together and got them smacked by a car before somebody went, hey, could you go, anywhere else in all of time?
You
know what? All of, this second, that second, the 2 seconds ago, you could go then. Anywhere, anyone else. It doesn't have to be literally the moment your dad's in.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty simple solution that she probably could have thought of.
Didn't necessarily require like skin melding 2 frat guys together, like a Brian Yauza Lovecraft horror.
Well, you know what? I think why don't we give it to Constance? Because that means this is the first time the MVP, most vile person, has gone to a woman, I think.
There you go.
Yay!
Hashtag feminism.
Hashtag feminism. I love it.
Equality. No.
But yes, this was a great opening two-parter. I'm not sure what you guys thought about it, but I thought this bodes well for the future of Stand Against Evil, I think. I like the expanded mythology. The sets are allowed to breathe a little bit more. We get to see exterior shots.
And we get CG.
That's the part I'm not super crazy about.
But feels like a sureness with their use of their mythology and their narrative. Like the show really knows where it is and the tools they've got in their toolbox. And I'm with you. I like the expanded characters. I came away from this two-parter both reminded of what worked in season 1. They improved the goo factor for me, and I'm really excited about where they continue to build out this really weird world.
Mm-hmm. There's just a distinct level of confidence I feel in the filmmaking here, and like just behind the camera with the actors. Everyone I feel like everyone's very comfortable now with where they're at, and they're like, I think we're past the growing pains of season 1, where they're trying to figure out what exactly what type of show this is. So I always like that. Most seasons, their best seasons are their season 2s. Mm-hmm. I always think that that's where everyone kind of figures out where they are, and like they can really take off with their storytelling.
Well, you just have to spend a little less time doing setup too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With that, anyone have anything to add about the two-parter before we just wrap this one up?
Looking forward to watching Werepony.
Yes. Werepony, oh, I'm so excited.
And also, I want more Denise all season long. Just more Denise.
And they've got Jeffrey Combs coming on this season as well.
Jeffrey Combs, amazing. Love that guy. All right. With that, we're going to bring this episode to an end. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you'd like to, help out the podcast at all, what would really help us out is if you hit that subscribe button on iTunes or give us a 5-star review. We would really like that. Helps us out with visibility and all that good stuff. If you want to write something in there, like what are your thoughts on the season opener, or who do you think deserves the most vile person? Whatever you want to write in there, we'll read it on the air, word for word, in the second season going on here. I would really, really, really appreciate that. Otherwise, you can just check us out on a Facebook page at Pod Against Evil. You can email us at podagainstevil@gmail.com, or you can follow us at Twitter at Pod Against Evil. And of course, if you liked this, us talking about this TV show and just our geeky speak, you can always check out our regular episodes of the UGO podcasts on iTunes, or maybe our Netflix and Kills. Les is on a couple of those. We really like that. Les, you got some crazy stuff going on. Where can the people find you and your great stuff?
Well, every couple weeks I'm on the TV Dudes, which is at www.thetvdudes.com, and also wherever podcasts come from. And then separately, I've got also on the Permanent Record Network, I've got The Good Die Young, which is at www.thegoodDieYoungTV.com, and that's my podcast dedicated to cancel shows that only lived one season. We're going to deep dive into The Middleman.
Love it. All right. Just too pretty to live. I love that tagline.
Too good to die.
Too good to die.
Or sorry, no, The Good Die Young. Shit, man, now you got me confused.
You do.
This is as bad as Last Tuesday Tomorrow or whatever John Oliver's show is.
No, we messed it up. We might have to go back in time again. Let me get some eyeballs. What was it, like 30 minutes? That's like...
That's
like, man, okay, so wait,
so that's 5...
If 400 years is 2 eyeballs, then 200 years is 1 eyeball. Hang on, I can do this.
Don't get slapped with the math, Les.
All right.
You want to get this right.